Hello, and welcome to Breath and Voice Chronicles with me, Sophia Maya, and soon to join us, my friend Igor Siberia. Hello, Igor. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. Yeah, thank you and welcome everybody. Good to be here.
It's been a little while since we spoke, and something I want to talk about that Igor and I were speaking about earlier is sometimes these episodes get posted a little later than we record them. I think that's just the nature of the beast. But we do our best to talk about things that are relevant in the moment and not try to worry too much about whether it'll be relevant in time, in linear time or not. So if this is not matching up with the timeline that you watch it, it's not intentional. It's just kind of part of the nature of the business of recording. Igor and I have not spoken in a little while. Igor has been traveling, and I just want to comment on how rested and at home you look with your lovely background. And I appreciate that very much. I have made an effort to move my session down into a lower part of my home where I have some room to spread out and a background that doesn't look like a cell block wall. I love your background there, Igor. It's lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, you have a beautiful tree as well, connecting
Thank you.
us to
I
the
have
earth.
yeah, the if you look behind me, there's a figurine. It's the only one that I own. It was a gift from my daughter and granddaughter for Christmas, and it's a tree goddess. The
Hmm.
trees are very important to me. They have been something that I have been discovering more and more about in my world. And if I could pan my living room, which is the on the other side of this camera, you would see another very large tree on the wall. And I have a lot of bare wood and rocks and crystals, and that's really all I decorate with. But that figurine means a lot to me. It's a tree goddess, and it's from my granddaughter, so he is
Yeah,
prominently displayed behind me.
I love how plants and trees are just like uniting us, just like they are connected interconnected with each other, how they communicate to each other, and I love that it's just they are represented in all capacities as actual natural trees, but also in paintings that just sparks some emotions, memories, and connections. It has a meaning that just deepening our relationship with the nature.
You're absolutely right. And another thing that I've discovered about myself, an example was given to me about the way we transmute negative energy out of our bodies, and it's similar to a tree. The tree has roots in the ground, and the top of the tree or the canopy is like our crown chakra. And when we draw negative energy from other sources, and as an empathic person, uh, I carry a lot of energy or I collect energy from other people. And it's become critical for me to go outside every single day to spend time on the earth and near the trees because I'm very similar to a tree. We all are. And our ability to transmute negative energy is amplified by nature because we're very much like trees. So that's something that I'm becoming really familiar with. And I've collected tree images. I don't have a lot of anything. I wouldn't call myself a minimalist, but I don't have a lot of decorative items in my house. But what I do have are images of trees. And it's a very important symbol for me as an empathic person. I don't know how you feel about, or if you consider yourself an empathic person, but our ability or my ability to transmute other people's energy that I collect during the day is critical to my well-being. And the tree is a very powerful symbol and example for that, for me at least.
Yeah, and it's even scientifically proven how the nature walks reduces anxiety and panic
Hmm.
and just all the negative emotions.
Yeah,
So it's just shows how alive the nature is. Just hugging a tree, it's just very therapeutic, nourishing that you have something always available to hug. And some
yeah,
people might feel even alone, and just know that you're never alone because you have like thousands of those friends outside available waiting for you because they do notice us and appreciate the presence that we give into them. And even if we want to have a conversation, it could be very therapeutic just by you talking out something from your system, from your body, anything that you going through emotionally, just to have something to talk to. Like I do that a lot, just in my place, just talking to myself, and I just uh, like it's became my regular practice, because I know and like consciously aware that it's just like feels so good and therapeutic, and I like intentionally would speak out loud, being alone, and and think about like a future program or practice or things to kind of like get these layers. And I'm noticing that becoming just a good routine, and it just makes you feel good. So
That's right. And I've had a lot of really powerful experiences with trees. And I have a walking area near my home that is inaccessible right now because we've gotten a lot of snow lately and it's very cold where I am. But there are two trees that I stop every single time I walk, and I lean on the trees with my bare hands. And I can actually see the energy of the tree when I close my eyes. And it's something very powerful. And I had I had two trees in my backyard. I think they're called twisted willows. They look like ancient beings, and that's exactly what they are. They are beings. A tree chooses to incarnate just like a human, just in a different form. And I believe, and I've been actually validated in knowing that I had a tree removed in my backyard this past summer, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And when the tree was gone, I felt its absence. It was a sentry. I was being watched over by the tree. And this is the second tree in my yard that I've had to remove in the last 5 years. And when I think about this, the first tree that left was right before my ex-husband moved out of my house after our divorce, is when that tree was damaged and had to come down. And the last tree, the second tree that I removed, which was just several months ago, when after the tree was removed, I had a feeling in my body that the tree was watching over, and it was just time for it to go because it knew that I was on the trajectory that I was meant to go on, and I no longer needed to be watched over. And I know a lot of people might think that's strange, but they're beings, just like whales are beings in the water, and every life that incarnates does it intentionally in the form that it takes. It's not necessarily, it doesn't have to be human in order for it to be considered a life. It just needs a molecular structure. And I'm talking about the sand and the dirt and the rocks and the mushrooms, which are fungi, which is the most intelligent being on Earth, which is also the largest network of life that's connected across the whole globe. There's so much to learn and understand with nature, but it is just another form of life that we are inherently connected to as energetic beings. There's no difference. It's just our shells look different. So when I walk out in nature, I feel like I'm walking into my family. And when I'm in my home too long alone, sheltered in, I start to need that connection. So being outside every day has become a crucial part of my well-being.
yes, absolutely. I always recommend to people just to walk at least. Some
Yeah,
people underestimate the just regular walk.
right,
Sometimes we just need that, and not necessarily has to be like in a very active physical activity, but it's super
right.
minimal, which is feels so effortless to just move your body, and especially when there is some nature, trees, and all that, it's just amplifies that. Talking about trees, it just reminded me that they are interconnected with each other through a massive root systems, that they
Right.
are like touching each other, and like this is a way that they are communicating and staying in touch with each other. And in the forest, if one tree get attacked by anything, so other trees can sense that, and they send certain elements through that root system to support that tree that being attacked, so that it can produce and release some sort of like um, uh, not chemicals, but like elements to
Right.
stop that attack by termites or birds or whatever is happening. And I found, and I heard that from multiple sources, and I found that very fascinating, the way they are, like you said, beings, something that are like have intelligence, and they have sure different way of communicating that as humans, but they still a living being. And I feel like that's what being means here, because they are receiving water, they are receiving um, carbon dioxide from us, right? And they produce oxygen back. And so something that we as humans constantly exchanging these gases with each other, and living that, creating that harmony, living together because we need each other to continue this life together.
It's a very symbiotic relationship. And I think the more we realize and understand that, the more we can appreciate that nature is really all we need. It provides everything for us, our food, our, the atmosphere. It's all right there. And there's a movie actually that I watched, I was guided to watch about a year ago, called the Earth Thing movie. And it really was the reason why I took my daily routine of standing outside in my bare feet for 20 minutes on the ground. It's what I did every day because I had an idea that that was a good idea. It really took what I knew in my body to a whole other level, to the point where and this might be extreme for some people, but I was guided to let go of my healthcare coverage because I didn't need Western medicine anymore for my health. And honestly, we never need Western medicine. There's so many things that are natural and homeopathic that we can use, but nature itself, I mean, she's a being. The earth is a being. So what I came to understand so far beyond what I thought with my brain was that all I had to do was, with intention, spend time in nature instead of just being on my cell phone or thinking about other things, and intentionally connect or commune with the earth and all the beings, all the life. It's almost like the everything reaches for you to support you. If it's just like an acknowledgement. If you validate somebody's existence, you illuminate them, and therefore they are energized or inspired. That's how it works. If you recognize nature as the being or the beings that they are, and you intentionally spend time and commune in a meditative state or with prayer or whatever you decide is your method, the benefits are indescribable. I mean, I haven't had any issues with my body in a couple of years. Not that I ever had any major issues, but I learned through watching that movie how intentionally utilizing the Earth's energy, first of all, to calibrate our own. And by standing on the earth in your bare feet or in a leather shoe without plastic or rubber, you're instantly calibrated with the Earth's energy. It's instantaneous. And the Earth's energy removes all inflammation from the body. And inflammation is the root of just about all disease. So if when you see it from that perspective, that they're not just trees and dirt and sand and grass and an atmosphere, this is really our medicine cabinet. It's our doctor. If we walk outside with intention and just commune with the earth, this is something I learned. And now I have, again, I can't spend too much time indoors. I have to be outdoors. And I've talked about relocating lately on my podcast, and I think I've mentioned it here, that I'm going to be relocating sometime in the future because where I live now is not hospitable to being outdoors every day. We have very cold, frigid winters and a lot of snow and very hot summers. And I believe where I'm going is going to be a temperature range between 45 and 72 degrees year round, where for somebody like me, that's really a very hospitable environment. And the nature is going to be, I mean, the place that I believe I'm going has more animals, actually more sheep than people.
More shit than
So
people. I love
more
it.
sheep than people. And it's a very unique place. And one thing I'm realizing more and more as each day goes by, as as I transform more and more into the version of myself that is stepping into a new timeline, is I cannot skip going outdoors. So what I'm doing now, well, if you live in the Midwest, you're probably going to laugh at me. We got a lot of snow. So instead of taking my walks, because the paths are inaccessible, I can't walk, I shovel my driveway, which takes about an hour, but I'm outdoors for an hour. And when I come back in, I feel clear. I feel like I transmuted negative energy, which is what it's for. As a vessel who carries or collects negative energy from other people and transmutes it, it's part of my mission. I have to be outside. So even if I'm just shoveling the driveway for 20 minutes up to an hour, that that does the trick for me. And I come back in and I feel clear and ready to go. It's
And
amazing.
want to say that sun still goes through the clouds. Even in a cloudy
Oh
day,
yeah.
we think there's like no sun. When you go outside, you still receive some of the sun that comes,
Right.
the sun beams that comes through the clouds. And it's definitely the path to a good health, to just well-being. And I also want to add about my grandmother, who are also in the winter environment in Siberia. When our
Wow.
winters there are extremely cold, and
Hmm.
so as part of her practice, she goes outside to walk, because during the winter there's no gardening. That's what she
Yeah.
does during the summer. She spends a lot of time on the land. But during the winter, right, you like in an apartment. And so every day she goes for 1.5 hours on a walk just in the neighborhood to receive
Right.
that sunlight, to just see the snow, to move the body. And it's just, she's been one of the biggest inspiration, because how healthy she is, and that she is like taking care of herself by moving the body. And a few more things that I want to touch on that you mentioned was sun gives us natural vitamin B12, that if we don't receive enough sun, then we can supplement. But why don't we start thinking and expanding our mindset towards to how we can naturally receive
Yeah.
all the vitamins, and where are they naturally coming from? Because a lot of them coming from some fruits, vitamin C, right, and others. But like B12 coming from the sun, that we just need to spend 1 or 2 hours a day just under that sun, find the sun, or again, even if it's cloudy, just outside. And another thing you mentioned about barefoot, and we back in the days, just if we go back in the days when there was no shoes,
Right.
people were a lot more connected to the nature. And so
Right.
once we put shoes to protect our skin from like different kind of ground, we sort of created separation from the nature, and the ability to feel the nature, and the ability to be connected to the nature on in that capacity. And so introducing back barefoot is actually very healthy. Our
Right.
feet has a connection to all organs. Some fascinating facts about our feet, that if that becoming a regular practice, and you walk outside long time barefoot, obviously, like I guess when it's like it's doable. It's probably a lot harder when it's winter in the
It's,
snow. It's probably going to be a very short trip.
yeah.
but but in my environment where I'm at, I just seen those people that the skin getting thicker, and our body is so intelligent that I just never stop uh, be inspired by what it does, and how it
Yeah.
creates an extra layer on the bottom of our feet in order to protect us
Right.
on this different kind of ground, where it's always in the shoes. So it's most of the human skin on the feet is like very thin, very
Hmm.
gentle, very fragile. And over time, when I remember, then I start practicing, and with every opportunity I always get barefoot. Like I have a medium kind of size skin on the foot that is just like protecting and allows me to feel the earth and staying connected with the elements. And I really love what you said, that nature is our doctor,
Yeah.
which is feels so resonant to me, as that is so true in so many ways, because all those kind of wisdom vitamins are just there, with herbs that you can receive from the forest and teas that you can make, and just that
Right.
natural connection and that access of abundance that just nature has, will allow us to continue having and keep that well-being without needing to go
Absolutely.
to hospitals.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you get stuck on a hamster wheel of medication and doctor visits, and you can't get off of it because your body becomes reliant on it. And something really interesting that I learned as well about sunlight when you were talking about that is sunlight is nourishment. It's not just certain vitamins. The higher you go in your energetic frequency, the more sunlight is nourishing to your body. So I actually require less food than I did before. So the higher my frequency goes in my body, the less food I need to ingest because I get those nutrients from the sunlight. And another thing on this subject matter, and it's so broad and beautiful, is eating locally, eating the local food. And this is something that I have experienced, especially in the last 6 months. I live in the Midwest, and you would think that most of our food would be local, but most of our food comes from other countries. I just picked up three yellow squash, and they're from Mexico. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. I'm happy we have abundance. But eating food from the soil that you live on is another really important thing to consider because you're connected with the soil, you're connected with whatever's produced in the soil. And this again goes back to the same idea that we are exactly the same as the soil and the trees and the grass and everything that grows naturally. We're just not planted in the ground, but we have the same need that the trees do. We need sunlight, we need water, and we need nourishment, whatever that comes from. And it's all provided by the earth. But beyond just being provided what's necessary for finely tuned health, eating locally sourced food is a really important thing when possible. So whenever I can, I shop local farms, and a lot of the grocery stores do offer that. But local catch and local meats. I stopped eating meat about probably 5, 6 months ago by now, and it was not a conscious decision. It's not because I have a moral problem with eating meat. My problem with eating meat is I don't know where it's sourced from. And there's two issues with that. One is if it's not sourced locally, and two is how was the animal treated? And this goes back to frequency. It goes back to understanding how energy works. Is when an animal is raised in an environment of stress and not treated with respect or reverence, which is how animals need to be treated, just like the plants that we eat should be treated, the vibration of that fear or stress in the animal, it stays in the meat and you ingest it. So I don't eat meat anymore because I don't know where the origin of the meat is and I don't know how the animal was treated. So that's the reason why I stopped eating meat, not because I believe that it's wrong to eat meat. I believe, and this is something I've been guided to understand, that animals don't mind being eaten. They are incarnated as animals or animals that like cows or chickens or whatever with that expectation. What they do mind, however, is being treated disrespectfully and without reverence. And that's where the problem lies, is if we are raising animals for slaughter or for eggs, which I don't eat anymore also, it has to be done with a reverence for the animal, just like the earth and just like the atmosphere and like life itself. We forgot that we are nourished by this earth, and we discount that every time uh, we handle our food, whether it be an animal or plant, with disrespect, or we disregard the fact that it's a living organism and requires respect in order to feel appreciated, just like we do. And in that appreciation, the vibration is higher, and it's healthier to eat. So lions are not vegetarians; they eat other animals. So there's a I don't have a problem with eating animals, and I know that might not resonate with a lot of people. I have a problem with eating an animal that has not been raised with the utmost love and respect, and that's
Yeah.
why I no longer eat meat. And the
So
same with vegetation. I only eat local farm foods, which is very hard to find for the same reason. So because of that, my diet has been restricted to I literally eat the same few things all the time. And I believe when I'm in an environment where I can find locally sourced, carefully and lovingly cared for food, then I can start to widen my palate again. I don't know that I'll ever eat meat again, but it's not a conscious choice that I made for moral reasons. There is a whole other reason why I don't eat meat, and I don't know if you find it interesting or not, Igor. But
yeah,
that's how that
it's
came about for me.
I want to say that it's a natural circle of life, natural circle of
Mhm.
life that just everything being kind of like rotated
Right,
one way or another. And I agree with you regarding meat and how it's been raised. I just grew up in that environment. Uh, Everybody eats meat, and also when you live in the winter, it's actually like required for your body. In order, if you want to
right,
really survive in that harsh environment, you need animal um, like protein and all the elements that come with it. And the only reason, correctly you said, that it really matters where is it sourced, how it's been treated, how's that animal being killed. It's
right,
important because if the animal um, experienced that big fear and stress before it got killed, it all being just in the body of the animal, and eating that meat is that just not healthy.
right.
Where on the other side of it, I heard one of my friends and more of my friends like around me who becoming conscious about where the meat being sourced. One of my friends found this farm in Japan. They play classical music to cows. So
Beautiful.
it's a very high vibrational meat that he
Yeah.
actually buy from them, and that being shipped overnight to he was in San Diego. I found that as I could totally see it's worth it once you understand and feel the difference and effect. And for maybe 7 years, I think I've been vegetarian. And only
Mhm.
3 years or 2 years ago, I introduced fish back in my diet. And before 7 years, I was eating everything. But I did notice a big shift and difference. And I also were just feeling that I want to try that out. And
Yeah.
I remember one of the training that I did, they suggested to reduce amount of meat that you eat by and have 30% of meat in your diet and 70% of like everything else, vegetables
Right.
and other like mm, food ingredients. And I start noticing a big shifts, and it definitely your body becoming lighter. And when
Right.
you especially stepping into this new life of your spiritual awakening, it's definitely will make that transition faster and
Mhm.
easier. So because you just feeling more connection and can receive easily a lot more downloads. You can feel energy a lot more. I've been practicing Reiki at the time, and I remember before and after, I was like, whoa, I could feel so much more of the tingling vibrations that go through my body, that it's noticeable difference. Yeah, but generally speaking, yeah, farm to table, right? And
Right.
just doing the research over how and where is it coming from. The same like on the island with the fish, you can buy fish in the market, and you can buy ahi in the market, but then asking them where is it coming from, they actually it it's funny, but because it's a supermarket, they ship
Mm.
everything, including fish,
Right.
where we are like in the middle of Pacific Ocean. We have abundance of fish, and we do have a local fish markets that I usually go to buy fish, locally sourced, yeah, from where you live. And yeah, the same, I really like how you said, where you live, there's always something local. Once you get in
Right.
that mindset, oh, you're gonna find it. And even if there's a hard way to find it, nowadays you can grow a lot of even veggies at home. And
Right.
what I found like available online with the hydro waters, that just
Mm-hmm.
like you can grow veggies without even soil. A lot of
That's it.
veggies like salads, they just need to be watered, and their root
Right.
system need to be watered. And so there's multiple variety of different devices, small and large, depending on your budget, that you can actually have and have your own grown vegetables at home
Mm.
on a regular basis. And of course, if there's summer and there's backyard, you can always grow. And sometimes you can even start small. You can grow something in a pot. Just why don't
Yeah.
you grow the salad leaf just in a pot? And
Yeah.
slowly but surely, you probably gonna get obsessed, involved a lot more, and then you slowly
Yeah.
can increase what else you want to grow.
And it of course increases your connection to the earth because it's a form of communion. When you utilize the earth's natural resources for your own consumption, you become hyper connected and it really helps to open you up. And I'm going to up you one on that too, since we're talking about the vibration of the animal when the animal is killed. And I always think of the movie Avatar. I don't know if you've seen that
I've
or
seen
not.
it. I do.
Yeah, but when they killed an animal, they thanked the animal and they sent it to, was it Iwa? I think was the goddess mother of the planet. So it was a very respectful death that the animal experienced, and it's so easy and clear to see how impactful that is. But something else that I discovered in my journey in the higher vibration into the higher vibrations is the vibrational quality, or I shouldn't say that, the mood of the person preparing the food. And this is a reason why I no longer eat out at all. I don't. I used to enjoy eating out. Well, before oh gosh, I used to eat out almost every day because I owned a business. I was so busy. And then as I went through this transformation over the last 3.5 years, I ate out less and less, and it was just then it was once a month at the very end of it. I ate out one time, and it was the last time I ate a burger, and this was back in August, I think, was the last time I ate any meat at all. And I got in my car to drive home, and I just knew that was the last time I was ever going to eat meat. I just knew that it was. And at the time, I wasn't even thinking about meat as on a broad scale. You don't know who's preparing your food. You don't know the mood that person's in, or you don't know the core energy frequency of that person. And just like the animal's stress gets transferred as a vibration into the meat, the stress or the anxiety or the anger or the negativity of the person preparing the food also goes into the food. So now you have a double negative possible when you're eating. You don't know where the food's sourced from. You don't know who made the food. I've gotten to the point where I cannot bring myself to order out or eat out in a restaurant anymore. And it's no offense to anybody. It's just an overall inclination that I have adopted in this new energy that I'm unable, like quite literally, to order out or to go eat in a restaurant, on top of not being able to eat any meat or anything that I don't know, or at least have some idea of where it was sourced. And again, why my diet has become so severely restricted in the last 6 months. And I hope that wherever I'm going has, I believe, a lot of natural resources, and my ability to widen my palate, I believe, will happen then. But just another piece of information about vibration going into food. The person preparing it has a lot to do with that as well.
Yes, and when you make your food at home, you can also feel that food with good, something good, like not
Right.
just thinking about. I like to say like like every morning I make a drink cacao or something. I literally say things that I would love to bring into my day, into my
Yeah.
life. And I just
Mhm.
speak them out loud and I say them one more time to the cup, to the drink,
Right.
to feel them. So, because the sound that we produce, that's a vibration, and it
Right. Right.
goes right in the water that you drink. That the water receive that information and it's restructuring itself, and then you drink that,
Absolutely.
and then it's a full communal connection with that. And even if you have to eat out, of course, sometimes we travel, there is no other options, but
Of
it
course.
just bringing more mindfulness of what kind of foods, because there's so many options, too many options, but there's a
Right.
lot of good, conscious cafes and restaurants that actually, like, you could see, you come in the environment, you see all those plants, you see happy waitresses. It's like everybody in a good mood. You could feel the energy
Right.
is good, and they bring the food that's just well curated, well done. I was like, wow. In some
Right.
places, you just, it's like waiter comes to you just without even smile. You like,
Right.
it's like, what's happening there? And but anyway, we also can bless the food or like say something
Right.
on top of wherever you're about to eat, to like express that gratitude and kind of like recharge food as much as that be available for that
Right.
food that is there. It's still gonna make some difference if we do
Yeah.
nothing and yeah, eat in a random place. But I'm very similar way that I do not like to eat out unless I have to, and sometimes friends are
Right.
visiting or sometimes we travel in. But
Right.
I'm very happy, and I was traveling myself for a long time. I've been navigating that whole journey of like how to maintain my healthy diet while I'm on the road,
Right.
and coming back home, feel that's one of the reasons feels so good, because I'm like, I know that it's all locally sourced, and making food at home, I really like that because it's just so nourishing, and all the variety, and I continue learning and expanding in that realm, and just specifically now focusing on like how can I improve and modify, how I can bring more varieties in my diet, and all
Um,
of that to keep it fresh, to keep it exciting.
It's true. And it's probably a good place for us to end. But I want to mention one other thing before we go that really helped me to understand or remember the connection we have with every other living being is if it has a molecular structure, it's an ecosystem. It's alive. It is a maybe not an ecosystem. There's another word it's escaping me. It is a living thing. So if the air has a molecular structure, the water does, our food does, every living being does. So if you think of it from that perspective, it's easy to recognize when should show reverence, and it's all the time, not just to other people and to yourself, but to nature and all that nature provides, which is absolutely everything. We may deny nature when we rely on um, synthetics or supplements or other forms of nourishment that maybe aren't directly sourced from our local area. But if the more awareness we have to our connection to all living beings. And if we take away our human suit and we're just energy, and you take away the tree and the grass, it's all just energy moving freely. We're all one energy. So there's no separation at all. We just see separation, and we're meant to because we're having a separate experience in the human form. But if you just remember molecular structure means it's alive, and then do your research, everything's alive. And that reverence and that respect and that appreciation is all that's required to raise a living thing's vibration. And I think that's the message that I want to make sure is shared.
Yes, beautifully said. I love that. Hmm.
Oh, thank you. So if you feel complete, I do. I'm gonna end us here.
Yeah, that sounds
Is that good? Okay.
wonderful. Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us today. And yeah, happy always to talk about nature, connection that we have, the oneness that we experiencing, and the more we diving in that mindset, consciousness, the more we living in that symbiosis and harmony,
Right.
and it's mutually benefit the nature, and the nature benefits you because it's like so abundant and provides you all the time with all you need, emotionally, physically, with fruits and veggies and all of that, depending on your environment where you live. But it's good to surround yourself. Either you buy from local farmers because they dedicated their life, they enjoy that, they
Right.
love that because they understand how important that is, and they bring in that to us. And sure, the farmers market sometimes could be a little bit more expensive than and not necessary, sometimes actually local products actually even cheaper there, but highly
Right.
recommend. Each city and town has always farmer markets, and they are available, accessible, have a lot of good stuff, organic, and but also good to ask them where is it coming from and
Right.
who is being grown by, and just having this curious mindset in life in general. With everything that you do, everything that you consume, it's
Right.
gonna make a very positive impact into your everyday life, into your well-being.
Absolutely and beautifully said, Igor. Thank you so much for that closing statement. I want to thank you again for being here with me. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Sophia. Yeah, it was a pleasure to spend this time together and talk about all of that.
Well, I'll see you again shortly. And thank you again, everyone, for watching. If you have any comments or questions or concerns, please feel free to leave comments. We're happy to engage in that way with you guys. So thank you again for watching, everyone,
Please
and we'll talk to you again soon.
thank you,
All right.
everybody. Until next time.
Okay, bye bye.